It is Ultramarine. Let me just adjust that. I hope that's okay. So, how are you doing? Oops, what was this? This fell from my desk. I have the world's smallest desk, and this was perched on the edge of it. I don't know if this is actually quartz. It's so smooth, and the way that it just feels kind of artificial, as if it were made out of glass, so I'm not totally sure. But I do have some actual quartz. This is on my windowsill. This is smoky quartz. I received this from a Reiki healer 2 or 3 years ago. I got, I think, 2 Reiki sessions done in the state I used to live in before where I live now. I wanted to get some Reiki healing done before I moved, just because I had always been curious, and I think it was after the first session, the healer, that just makes me smile saying that, but the healer gave me this piece of smoky quartz, and it felt really meaningful because I had been to visit my grandmother maybe a week or so before I went to the Reiki healer, or maybe a few weeks before. It was sort of a quasi-family reunion. It was me and my parents and 2 of my aunts, well, my only 2 aunts from that grandmother, and their children. And before we left, we were there for the weekend maybe or something like that. Before we left, my grandmother gave me and 2 of my cousins a bunch of rocks or crystals or minerals or whatever you want to call them. And she gave us these prism looking ones that were cut like this. And she didn't let us necessarily pick out what we wanted. She kind of assigned them to us, so I felt like you can't really mess with that. She gave me the clear quartz one, and she gave my other female cousin, who is like, I don't know, maybe 7 years younger than me or 5 years younger than me, I'm not sure. She's a bit younger than me. She gave her a similarly cut one that was rose quartz, and then she gave my other cousin, the girl cousin's younger brother, who's like 10 years younger than me, she gave him a smoky quartz one, and I was not gonna lie, I was a little jealous because it looked cooler, and I felt like, as the eldest of the trio, I wish that I had been able to pick which one I wanted, because then maybe as the oldest I would have been able to bully my way into picking the first one. I'm mildly joking, but I'm also kind of not joking, because I feel like I'm really cognizant of how I'm gonna come across, right? I don't like to come across as selfish, because I think in part I'm secretly afraid / aware that I'm more selfish than I would like to be. Yeah, I'm very cognizant of being conscientious to other people, but when it comes to family, specifically younger family members, maybe because my first impression of them was they're a baby and I'm like older than you, like so much older than you, and I'm in charge of you. And I think that's because that was kind of the dynamic in my household with my older sibling. So I had the role of the baby of the family, like the youngest, the second, the baby. And that can be a tough place to be sometimes. So sometimes you really like relish the opportunity to be the older one, to have that dynamic. And so that was something I like was really aware of with the people that were like way younger than me. I was definitely kind of bossy, is what I'm trying to get at. I was very much like, listen to me because I'm older, so I've decided that I'm in charge. So I could have dipped back into that mentality and not been afraid to pick first, because I feel like if I were with, like when I'm with other people, I don't like to pick first because I don't want to get the best thing, like what I think is the best, because it just feels greedy. But then I also don't want to shoot myself in the foot and immediately like gracefully take the worst. I want to see what other people are going to do, you know? That was a wild tangent. I feel like I go on these crazy tangents because I don't really get to talk too much these days to people, to friends and whatnot, because most of my friends, the friends I would talk to the most, don't live anywhere close to me. So yeah, so I'm trying to, that is like my mood for the summer, is I want to try to socialize more with people here near me, like reach out more to the people I do have as friends and try to make new friends. But it is very hard to make friends as an adult amidst the backdrop of a pandemic, because there just aren't as many opportunities to congregate and to socialize. But also it's just harder as an adult. For me personally, I have made all of my friends as an adult, either from work or from friends of friends, but that original friend was a friend from work. And that is like impossible to do with my current situation, because it is not, there's not that capacity to make friends. There really aren't many people that I interact with. The ones that I interact with the most are not in a subordinate position, but it's all virtual too. And it's all because I work remotely. And so like in my direct team, there's like really only 3 of us, but I only directly communicate with my direct superior. And so it's not the same kind of connection. I mean, she's really lovely and we definitely have personal conversations, but I think there's still certain boundaries around that, because, you know, I think that's naturally always there with coworkers in general. For me, at least, it's not until we've had the opportunity to fraternize outside of work that I can kind of open up in a more personal way. But also within the dynamic of someone who is my superior, I don't know, I think there should definitely be a sense of separation, you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's like the person, oh wow, I just pinged my elbow on my desk. But that's the person that I speak to, oh man, that really hurt, that I speak to the most, outside of my family and my puppy. and myself. So that's that. I'm like trying to find opportunities to go out into the real world more and engage in activities outside of my house in the hopes that I can make a friend or a couple friends or something. But yeah, I don't know. And I'm also very, 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 very shy when it comes to meeting new people, or being around people I'm not familiar with, because I don't know, like I just have to feel comfortable around somebody in order to really open up. Otherwise I would rather just kind of observe in the background. But I think that can work against me, because I think some people could interpret that as being standoffish, and I say that because I have been told that a few times, not anytime recently, but growing up, like, I don't know, as a young adult, we'll say that, like, as a young adult, I have been accused of being standoffish or aloof, because I am quiet, and also I think because I kind of definitely suffer from the phenomenon known as resting bitch face. That's not nice. But I can just feel it sometimes. Like I can see how I can come across as very dour. We'll say that, dour. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I also kind of can be a little monotonous, if I'm annoyed, and I don't know, whatever. I don't know where I'm going with this. What was I even saying? So I'm really cognizant of that. Like I said, I think I'm someone who really works to be conscientious, because I don't actually think that's one of my natural strengths. Like, there are some people who are so naturally sweet and thoughtful, and I so enjoy meeting people like that. I think they're really delightful. I get along really well with people that are just naturally very conscientious. Like I aspire for that, because that's not really in my bones. We'll just leave it at that. But what can you do? I think part of that is your natural temperament, which is, I feel like it's just the characteristic of your soul that you were just born with. Like it's just there, even from infancy. There's this fabric that we are cut from, and then that can definitely be altered through the experiences that we have and how we're raised, and the quality of care and attention that we receive. And did I say the experiences that we'll have already? The whole nature versus nurture thing, it's definitely a combination of both. And when it comes to something like personality or temperament, I think people can change, and I think definitely when it comes to behavior, because what I'm talking about is purely behavior. Who knows if these people are naturally that sweet? Like I think you can kind of tell too when someone is naturally just that thoughtful versus someone where it's a little more it's like an affectation. Well, no, there's levels to it. So what I'm saying is I'm not trying to be artificial, or to be like, you know, fake, like schmoozy, you know, like a kiss ass. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about that kind of behavior. I'm just talking about people who are just naturally kind, basically, is what I'm saying. Like thoughtful and kind. Just appreciate it. And I think we can all strive to act kindly and behave well and be polite. But there are like flavors to it. I don't really know if what anything that I'm saying is making sense at all. But I just wanted to ramble because I've been really enjoying listening to rambles. I can't remember the last music-y ramble that I did. I think it was in June, but I think I uploaded it a couple weeks ago. So maybe I might have mentioned that I have been really increasing the amount of albums that I've been listening to. I've just been adding albums to my queue on Spotify and just trying to catch up, just trying to listen to things I've always been meaning to listen to, or things that I think I might like. And I have to say, I listened to Hounds of Love by Kate Bush maybe a weekish ago, like not too long ago, and I am obsessed with I think it's the very first song. The song is Running Up That Hill, right? Running Up That Hill. Yeah, Running Up That Hill. And in parentheses, it says, I deal with God. Oh my God. And because I don't want to fuck with the queue, sometimes I'm just like in the mood to listen to that one particular song. So I will savor it and I'll listen to it on repeat until I'm ready to get back into the flow of the queue. So it is now currently like my top played song of all time. I was looking at my Spotify statistics, that website, because I like to see the top tracks and top artists for, you know, the moment and for like the past, I think it's 6 weeks, or past 6 months, and then you can see for all time. And it now is that one song which I listened to for the first time not even a week ago, because I've just been listening to it on repeat for so long. It's so good. And I've even been like watching the music video on YouTube and watching there's the official music video, and then there's a performance I think that she did at an awards show. So I've been watching that, and I've even looked up covers. Like, I'm getting kind of obsessive with that song. But yeah, I've even looked up covers, and there are a couple really good covers out there. I don't remember the names, but I'm terrible with that. There are these two women, I think they're in a band, and they did an acoustic cover of it, and it was phenomenal. And I know there was another good cover, but I can't remember who did it. But yeah, there are so many covers, tons of covers, and it's just very interesting. Yeah, so I love that album, but especially love that one particular song. And let's see what else. I don't know if I've ever mentioned I did I went through Taking Back Sunday's entire discography, because I had not listened to any album in its entirety after Louder Now, and did not even listen to any of the new songs after New Again, which I think is the album that came out after Louder Now. So, but I started from the beginning and then just caught myself up, and I have to say, I don't really think I was missing out. So, I mean, like, no offense if you really dig their more recent stuff. It's not bad or anything. It's just, I really loved / love their second album. I mean, I really do enjoy all, like, the first 3, because I first listened to them when Louder Now came out. That was the first album of theirs I heard, and I really love that album. But I particularly love the second album, Where You Want to Be. I really like that album. Meant so much to me in high school. I think I was in high school. I think it was my freshman year of high school is when Louder Now came out, and I really, really enjoyed it. So it was a nice throwback to listen to Taking Back Sunday. I also listened to a couple albums from Digable Planet. I didn't really know how to pronounce that. Like, I wasn't sure if it was Digable or if it was Digable. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I heard it said in a song, in one of the songs off of one of the albums that I listened to, they said Digable Planet. So, but I really like their sound. It's like a jazzy hip hop kind of sound. I wanted to listen to, I'm terrible with names, but I listened to the album that had the song Where I'm From of like maybe a couple months ago or something, and I really liked that album. I really liked that song. So then I wanted to listen to, I think, like, whatever albums that I hadn't. And I know one of them was Blowout Comb. And I don't know what the other one was. But yeah, it's a good sound. It's very chill vibes to have. But it's also kind of groovy. It's good to have. I've also been like just kind of discovering the joy of just playing more music, like even just as a background soundtrack to whatever I'm doing. It makes the present moment more enjoyable. What else can I ramble about? I want to mention true crime documentaries, because I feel like if I'm getting into books, I can't really consume television or films. Otherwise I get so sucked in, and then I don't have any time for reading. But I have been watching a couple more like true crime related stuff, because I just find it so interesting. The last thing that I watched was a 3-part docuseries on Netflix called Sophie, and it's about the murder of Sophie Toscan du Plantier. I think that was her name. I'm terrible with names. She was a French woman who had an Irish country home in a really remote location. She was murdered in her or on the property, on the grounds, a couple days before Christmas in, I believe, 1996. And in Ireland, no one was ever formally charged with the murder. They had arrested a man, a journalist, who actually was reporting on the murder. They arrested him, I think, twice or thrice, but ultimately it was decided that there wasn't enough evidence, or the evidence that they did have was circumstantial, because it was mostly just witness statements that placed him in the area during the time that the murder would have occurred, and witnesses saying that they knew that they had a relationship in the sense that they had spoken and, had met, because he said he had never met her before, had never had a conversation with her. And finally, witnesses who said that he confessed to them about the murder. And also he had a pattern of violence against his partner, an established pattern of violence, domestic violence, physical violence with his partner, to the point where I think someone had made some sort of note or official comment of some sorts stating that the violence would escalate, and next time, it could, at the cost of taking someone's life, and it might not even be his partner, it could be any woman. And so he was never convicted in Ireland, but he was tried, I think, like 23 years later in France, because French law is like different how they look at evidence, and so they tried him in absentia, and they actually found him guilty and charged him to, I think, 25 years or 23 years to prison. But Ireland does not recognize French law that convicted Ian Bailey, the murderer, allegedly. I don't know. I mean, the convicted murderer in France, but the alleged murder in Ireland. They refuse to extradite him because they don't recognize French law. So if you're into true crime, that was good. You know what true crime documentary I really, really enjoyed watching is it called American Murder? I think that's what it's called, but it's the story about Shanann Watts and her husband Chris Watts, who killed her and their 2 children. And it's just, I think what I really enjoyed about the documentary was that it consisted only of like source material, so videos taken from Shanann's Facebook to show what the family was like before the murder, videos taken from his mistress's phone when they rendezvoused together, so you could kind of get a sense of the double life that he had, and then also the footage from the body cam of the police officer that first arrived when she was reported missing, and the footage from the interrogation. And so that's such a great and interesting way to tell a story. As they are going over this, they also had transcripts from texts between Shanann and her friends, and this was juxtaposed by the postings she made on Facebook and the videos that she uploaded to Facebook, because she was very public about her life. So there's a lot of material there, but it's, she presents this image of a very happy, loving family, and you can see that there was a lot of discord within the marriage. It seemed like he was checked out but wouldn't tell her that, and I can so empathize with what that feels like and how frustrating that must be. And it's just really sad to see her so heartbroken about it and really trying to make it work. And they showed transcripts from texts between Chris and Shanann when she was at a work conference right before she was murdered. They were texting, and then the text with their friends and all that. It was just very well done. So, oh my gosh, this video is going to get to be a little too long, so I think I'm going to end that there. So I hope that you enjoyed that little ramble and that it made sense and wasn't too disorganized. I will see you in the next video. I hope that you are doing super well, and I hope that you're taking real good care